Confidence is the foundation of how women perceive a man, and not the flashy, arrogant kind that draws attention temporarily, but the deep, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. This type of confidence is quiet yet powerful. It doesn't need validation from anyone else because it is rooted in self awareness and self respect. Women can sense it instinctively, often without understanding why, and it changes the dynamic of dating immediately. When a man carries himself with genuine confidence, he communicates that he is capable, reliable, and valuable, qualities that naturally position him as an ideal partner. Many men confuse confidence with trying to impress. They believe that if they talk louder, act bolder, or perform in ways that attract attention, women will see their worth. But confidence is not about performance, it's about presence. It's about moving through life with purpose, knowing your value, and not needing constant approval. Women notice when a man is grounded in himself, not when he is grasping for recognition. This kind of self assurance is magnetic because it communicates security and stability both emotionally and psychologically. Confidence also manifests in decision making. A man who makes choices calmly without hesitation or overthinking shows leadership in his own life. He doesn't waver in the face of uncertainty or rely on others to dictate his direction. Women respect men who can take charge of situations, whether it's planning a date, handling challenges, or navigating everyday life. When a man demonstrates decisiveness, it signals strength and reliability, traits that women often value above surface level charm. Equally important, true confidence allows a man to handle rejection gracefully. He understands that a woman's interest or lack thereof does not define his worth. He does not chase, plead, or act desperate if things don't go as he hoped. Instead, he maintains composure, respects her choice, and continues living aligned with his values and goals. This response is far more attractive than anyone trying to force affection or validation because it communicates emotional maturity and self respect, a combination that is rare and highly compelling. Confidence also allows a man to be authentic. He doesn't pretend to be someone he's not or exaggerate accomplishments to appear more desirable. Women can detect inauthenticity instantly, and it diminishes perceived value. The confident man is comfortable in his own skin, embracing both his strengths and his flaws. That authenticity builds trust, admiration, and ultimately attraction. Women don't just like a confident man, they respect and desire one who is real, grounded, and self possessed. Another subtle but powerful aspect of confidence is body language and presence. A confident man moves and speaks with intention. He makes eye contact, maintains good posture, and exudes calm energy. These nonverbal cues communicate self assurance without saying a word. Women are wired to pick up on these signals, often subconsciously, and they add up to an overall impression that a man is competent, reliable, and worth their attention. Ultimately, confidence is not something that can be faked convincingly over the long term. It is cultivated through self discipline, achievement, emotional mastery, and a strong sense of identity. When a man develops unshakable confidence, it changes the way women see him automatically. He is no longer just an option. He becomes a man who stands out as someone worth prioritizing and investing in. And that is why unshakable confidence is the first step to becoming her best choice. Emotional control is one of the most overlooked traits that instantly elevates a man in the eyes of women. Many men believe that showing emotion freely makes them relatable or attractive, but uncontrolled emotion often has the opposite effect. Panic, desperation, jealousy, or overreaction communicates instability, uncertainty, and a lack of self mastery. Women are naturally drawn to men who can feel deeply but respond calmly. Emotional control isn't about suppressing feelings, it's about managing them effectively so they don't dictate behavior in ways that diminish value or respect. When a man masters his emotions, he demonstrates that he is in charge of himself first, and then everything else falls into place. He can face rejection, disagreement, or challenges without losing composure. This stability creates an aura of reliability and strength, signaling to women that he is someone they can trust, someone who won't be reactive or volatile in the face of life's ups and downs. Emotional control communicates that he is dependable, that he has boundaries, and that he respects both himself and others. One of the most critical aspects of emotional control is how a man responds to rejection or disinterest. Instead of chasing, pleading, or becoming defensive, he acknowledges the reality, processes it internally, and moves forward without drama. This doesn't mean he is cold or indifferent. It means he understands that his value is not contingent on another person's approval. Women notice this behavior even if they don't articulate it. They sense that he is emotionally resilient, capable of handling his own life, and not reliant on external validation for his happiness. Emotional control also plays a vital role in daily interactions. A man who reacts thoughtfully instead of impulsively creates a sense of safety and calm around him. He doesn't overreact to minor disagreements, he doesn't escalate conflicts unnecessarily, and he doesn't let emotions drive decisions that could be handled logically. This steady presence is inherently attractive because it signals maturity and self discipline. Women instinctively respect men who can remain composed because emotional stability creates both trust and admiration. Another critical component of emotional control is the ability to maintain composure while still expressing confidence and masculinity. Emotional control is not the absence of feelings, it is the ability to express them appropriately. A man can show passion, coach, desire, or affection without letting those feelings undermine his frame. He can be kind and caring without being weak, assertive without being aggressive, and loving without being dependent. This balance creates the type of polarity that naturally draws women toward him, reinforcing the perception that he is a high value man. Developing emotional control requires practice, self reflection, and self discipline. It's cultivated by facing challenges without overreacting, by understanding triggers, and by choosing responses that maintain dignity and integrity. Over time, this mastery becomes second nature, influencing not only dating relationships but all areas of life, including career, friendships, and personal growth. Women notice the difference immediately between a man who reacts impulsively and one who responds intentionally. In essence, emotional control transforms how a man is perceived. It allows him to navigate dating dynamics with grace, maintain respect, and create attraction without manipulation or games. Women are naturally drawn to men who are steady, self possessed, and capable of handling life's emotional currents without being swept away by them. And that is why mastering emotional control is a cornerstone of becoming her best option. Having a life full of purpose is one of the most magnetic qualities a man can possess, and it is one of the key factors that makes women see him as their best option. Purpose is not about showing off accomplishments or pretending to be successful. It is about having direction, passion, and meaningful goals that drive daily action. A man with purpose doesn't wait for a relationship to define him or provide validation. Instead, he builds his life intentionally, invests in his growth, and moves forward with consistent focus. Women notice this naturally because it signals long term potential, emotional stability, and the ability to contribute value to a partnership. Purpose gives a man structure. It organizes his time, energy, and priorities in a way that is predictable yet inspiring. When a man has a plan for his life and actively pursues it, he demonstrates discipline and self leadership. These traits make him inherently attractive because they show that he can handle responsibility and maintain a life of substance beyond the dating dynamic. Women are drawn to men who are actively creating their world, not reacting passively to circumstances. Purpose conveys confidence without words, presence without effort, and value without needing to prove it constantly. A purposeful man also demonstrates independence. He is not dependent on a woman for validation, excitement, or happiness. He is already fulfilled through his pursuits, and a relationship becomes an addition to his life, not the foundation of it. This independence creates attraction because it signals that he has standards and that he cannot be manipulated by attention seeking or emotional games. When women see a man who is self driven, they recognize someone who will bring consistency, reliability, and long term value to relationship. That recognition is often subconscious, yet it influences how they rank him among their options. Purpose also enhances a man's presence. He brings focus and energy to interactions because he is accustomed to moving intentionally through life. He doesn't fidget, over explain, or behave inconsistently because his identity is grounded in his goals, not in the reactions of others. This consistency makes him predictable in a positive way, and predictability and emotional and personal stability is deeply respected by women. They instinctively feel safer and more attracted to a man whose life is already in motion and who maintains his trajectory regardless of external circumstances. Additionally, having purpose fuels long term attraction because it signals growth and evolution. A man who is consistently improving himself, learning new skills, and pursuing meaningful goals communicates that he is not static. Women respect men who are growing because they associate growth with strength, resilience, and leadership. It differentiates him from men who remain stagnant, reactive, or emotionally dependent. When a man's life is purposeful, he naturally elevates his value in a woman's eyes without needing to manipulate, chase, or convince. Purpose also helps a man maintain perspective in dating dynamics. He can navigate emotional highs and lows without losing himself because his sense of self is not tied to immediate outcomes. He can handle rejection, disagreement, or uncertainty calmly because he knows that his life continues, his goals remain intact, and his value is inherent. That ability to remain grounded even in challenging emotional moments is incredibly attractive and positions him as a high value option. Ultimately, a life full of purpose communicates that a man is capable, independent, reliable, and continuously growing. Women see it, feel it, and respond to it instinctively. Purpose is not something that can be faked, it must be lived authentically, consistently, and passionately. When a man embodies purpose, he naturally becomes the man that women consider their best option without needing to compete, chase, or perform. And that is why purpose is the cornerstone of attraction and respect in dating. Setting and maintaining strong boundaries is one of the most underrated qualities that instantly elevates a man in the eyes of women. Many men misunderstand boundaries, thinking that they are about being rigid, controlling, or distant. In reality, boundaries are about self respect, clarity, and protecting your energy. They communicate that you value yourself, your time, and your standards, and women sense this immediately. A man who has clear boundaries is not only attractive, but he also positions himself as someone worth prioritizing, someone who cannot be easily manipulated or taken for granted. Boundaries start with knowing what you will and will not accept. This applies to communication, behavior, and respect within dating interactions. A man who allows disrespect, over demanding behavior, or inconsistent attention to go unchecked signals that he lacks self respect. Conversely, a man who calmly enforces his limits demonstrates strength and stability. Women subconsciously compare options in dating situations, and a man with boundaries instantly rises in value because he shows that he is not desperate, reactive, or easy to sway. Boundaries communicate that he has principles and standards, and those principles are not negotiable for anyone. Strong boundaries also create emotional safety. When a man maintains them, he is predictable in a way that fosters trust. Women instinctively feel more comfortable around men who are steady, composed, and clear about what they will accept and what they will not. That stability is magnetic because it allows the natural dynamics of attraction to emerge without confusion or unnecessary testing. Women may not articulate it, but they feel it, and they respect men who can maintain their frame without being rigid or detached. Boundaries also give a man leverage in dating dynamics. They prevent neediness, overexposure, or emotional chasing, which often undermine attraction. When a man respects himself first, he does not feel compelled to constantly prove his worth or chase validation. Women notice the difference between a man who is grounded in self directed versus one who is reactive, anxious, or easily swayed. A man with boundaries does not create drama or manipulate outcomes. Instead, he simply operates from a position of possession, which naturally elevates his value. Maintaining boundaries also demonstrates emotional intelligence. It shows that a man understands his triggers, limits, and priorities, and that he is capable of regulating his responses in challenging situations. Women are attracted to men who can navigate emotional complexity with composure. By setting boundaries, a man communicates that he is aware of himself, he respects others, and he expects mutual respect in return. This creates an invisible standard that automatically filters out women who are incompatible or disrespectful, leaving him visible only to those who appreciate and align with his value. Boundaries also protect long term attraction. They allow a man to engage in relationships from a place of abundance rather than neediness. He can be generous, kind, and attentive without losing himself in the process because his limits are clear. Women respect men who maintain their integrity and do not compromise their self worth for temporary approval. Over time, this creates a pattern where the man is consistently seen as high value, reliable, and desirable, someone who is worthy of being chosen as the best option. Ultimately, boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about controlling yourself and your environment. They demonstrate clarity, confidence, self respect, and emotional maturity. Women notice, often subconsciously, that a man with strong boundaries is a man who cannot be swayed by games, who values himself, and who is capable of leading a relationship in a balanced and respectful way. And that is why strong boundaries are essential to being seen as their best option. Creating emotional and sexual polarity is one of the most powerful ways a man can position himself as a woman's best option. Many men misunderstand attraction, thinking it is about being agreeable, available, or constantly accommodating. While kindness and respect are essential, they alone do not create the magnetic pull that draws women in. Polarity is the balance between strength and vulnerability, leadership and emotional availability, assertiveness and empathy. When a man cultivates this dynamic, he naturally becomes someone women are drawn to, someone who stands out as a high value option without needing to chase or perform. Emotional polarity starts with the ability to lead in interactions. A man who makes decisions confidently, communicates clearly, and initiates plans demonstrates dominance in a way that is both attractive and reassuring. Women instinctively recognize men who can take charge because it signals stability, reliability, and competence. Leadership in dating does not mean control or coercion. It means guiding the relationship with intention, showing decisiveness, and creating a sense of direction. This assertiveness creates a natural tension that draws her attention, increases respect, and elevates attraction. Sexual polarity, on the other hand, is about presence, desire, and confidence in expressing attraction. A man who understands his own sexual energy and communicates it subtly through touch, body language, and conversation creates a tension that women feel instinctively. This tension is magnetic because it is a contrast to neutrality or passivity. Women are drawn to men who display a balance of interest and restraint, desire and self-control, because it signals that he values himself and is not dependent on their approval for validation. Sexual polarity is not about pressure. It is about creating chemistry through confident energy and aligned behavior. The combination of emotional and sexual polarity is what makes a man stand out as someone worth prioritizing. He can be kind, respectful, and attentive, yet still maintain his own frame and boundaries. He does not over apologize, over explain, or constantly seek validation. At the same time, he communicates desire and interest in a way that feels natural, playful, and engaging. This balance creates an attraction that is both deep and undeniable, because it aligns with a woman's instinctive understanding of value, strength, and leadership. Polarity also creates space for a woman to invest emotionally. When a man is self directed, confident, and balanced, he is not filling the relationship with neediness or over dependence. Instead, she feels drawn to contribute to his energy, to match his frame, and to engage with him on a level that is meaningful. This dynamic enhances attraction because it encourages her to invest, desire, and respect the man without feeling manipulated or pressured. Women are naturally more engaged when they feel the polarity, when a man's energy challenges, excites, and reassures simultaneously. Developing polarity requires self-awareness and practice. It requires a man to know his boundaries, to manage his emotions, and to understand the balance between being approachable and maintaining self-possession. It is expressed through tone of voice, posture, eye contact, and the decisions he makes in dating scenarios. Over time, these behaviors become second nature, creating an aura of high value that women instinctively recognize. Ultimately, emotional and sexual polarity is not about manipulation or games. It is about living authentically while embodying qualities that naturally attract and retain attention. It is a reflection of self respect, emotional intelligence, and masculine presence. Women see this alignment subconsciously, and it positions a man as not just another option, but the best possible option. And that is why cultivating polarity is essential to becoming the man she sees as her ideal choice. Being unapologetically self led is one of the most powerful ways a man becomes a woman's best option. Many men make the mistake of basing their value on the attention, approval, or validation of women, believing that they need to chase, please, or adapt constantly to be desirable. The truth is the opposite. The man who leads his own life first and invites a woman in second automatically becomes high value in her eyes. He demonstrates that his identity, purpose, and happiness are his own, and that he does not rely on external validation to feel whole. This independence is magnetic because it communicates confidence, strength, and emotional stability. A self led man is clear about his goals, priorities, and standards, and he does not compromise them for temporary approval or affection. He understands that relationships are an addition to his already full life, not a requirement for his fulfillment. When he lives this way, women notice it instinctively. They feel the difference between a man who is fully grounded in himself and one who is reactive, dependent, or desperate. This self possession creates natural attraction, respect, and admiration because it signals that he is not easily swayed, manipulated, or devalued by external circumstances. Being self led also means taking ownership of one's life choices and energy. A man who is unapologetically self led does not waste time reacting to minor frustrations, seeking constant reassurance, or allowing someone else's mood or opinions to dictate his behavior. He chooses how he spends his time, how he invests his energy, and who he allows into his life. Women sense this autonomy, even subconsciously, and it positions him as someone reliable, grounded, and strong, qualities that are highly attractive and that women respect deeply. This independence is particularly important in dating dynamics. A self led man does not chase attention or validation because he understands that his value is inherent and does not fluctuate based on someone else's behavior. He can engage in interactions confidently with warmth and charm without being needy or overly accommodating. This balance between approachability and independence creates attraction naturally because it communicates strength, security, and authenticity. Women feel drawn to a man who is not easily shaken, who maintains his frame, and who has a life that is already meaningful and fulfilling. Being unapologetically self led also includes embracing personal growth and self improvement. A man who prioritizes his career, health, skills, and personal development shows that he is committed to becoming the best version of himself, independent of any relationship. Women respect this because it signals long term potential and emotional maturity. Growth oriented men naturally stand out among the crowd, not because they try to impress, but because their energy, purpose, and drive make them inherently attractive. Another important aspect of being self led is the ability to handle rejection or setbacks with composure. When a man is secure in himself, he does not crumble if a woman loses interest or makes a decision that does not align with his desires. Instead, he accepts reality, maintains dignity, and continues to invest in his own life. This response communicates resilience and emotional strength, two qualities women notice even if they never explicitly say so. Ultimately, being unapologetically self led is about living authentically, maintaining independence, and embodying confidence and purpose. It is the foundation of attraction, respect, and long term desirability. A man who is self led does not need to compete, chase, coach, or convince anyone of his worth because he already knows it himself. He becomes the man women see as their best option naturally without force or manipulation. And that is why being unapologetically self led is the final key to becoming the man she cannot ignore.